everyone. It's always a pleasure to speak in my hometown. And this is indeed special also because while I would have spoken in so many forums worldwide, this is the first time I'm speaking in front of my father. So this is truly special for me. Okay. So, like the wonderful lady over here, she introduced me. We are technology advisors to large enterprises. In fact, if you take the top 100 enterprises in the world, we would be advising at least 75 of them. We do advise also like the US government, the Italy government, Australian government, and hopefully the Indian government very soon. So with that background of mine, what I'm going to speak about is a little bit of a global context in terms of AI, what's happening, the state of the market, and things like that. And then I'll turn it over to the gentleman here Mr. Amitav Nag, who is very well-versed, and he's going to speak about what's happening in the Indian government. So I'll start it from a little bit of a macro view. So as everybody knows, right, AI, a lot of organizations, AI is a very, very strategic bet that most organizations are into. They're betting a lot into AI and what it can do. And especially in the last 2 years with the generative AI, what is happening is it's becoming very clear that AI is going to transform a lot of industries. It's going to create opportunities and risks like never before. And there are going to be a lot of, like I said, challenges in terms of how you can scale at value, in terms of data governance and so on. But it's still the possibilities are endless because, think of it like how the internet was young in the 1900s. It took a lot of weeding and growing. So that's the kind of stage we are in right now. Now, what's also happening is from a global perspective is in the boardrooms, the CIOs are being asked, what are we doing on AI? How much do we have to invest? The businesses are asking how is it going to transform our business? How are you going to face the competition? Is it going to help our business initiatives run faster? And these boardroom conversations are actually helping in terms of increasing the spend. So what we predict is that as we move to 2025, there is going to be 50% more of spend on AI initiatives than what it was this year. And this spend is going to, the expectation is there is going to be an increase in ROI with these investments, especially in categories in innovation, cost savings, efficiency, and so on. Of course, we do predict that, by mid of 2025, this ROI is going to peak, but then after some time, it's going to stagnate. Now, just if I speak, since it's a media conclave, just from a media and entertainment perspective also, it is projected that it's going to grow, this industry is going to grow by 3.5 trillion by 2028, and probably more. And AI is going to enable a lot of this growth for this industry. Now, while I spoke a little bit of the spend from an industry perspective, if you also look at the kind of use cases, right? So the AI use cases are all over. They span across a lot of business functions. But predominantly, we've seen that there is a significant number of use cases identified and implemented, especially in the marketing and sales and communication space. Think of content generation, what not is possible. With AI algorithms being able to create articles, to be able to create content, visual content, video content, personalized marketing, with the help of just user behavior, demographics, to be able to create that personalized marketing. The use cases are endless, the possibilities are endless. There's one example which comes to my mind, and especially because this is a media conclave. Washington Post, for example, which is a big media house, they use heliograph as an AI tool to create short news, which has become very popular. People are more and more especially the younger generation are getting adapted to a lot of shorter content, and this is what it's enabling. Another example, Warner Brothers, a big entertainment house there, they are using AI to be able to evaluate their projects. So what it is if based on, let's say, the actor's popularity, the genre, the timing of the release, they are even able to predict a box office success. So wonderful use cases, especially from a media, entertainment, and that industry. So it's like it's just going to like ensure there's more creativity. Now, while we spoke about like, okay, there's a lot of possibility, a lot of things can happen, there are still challenges. There are challenges in terms of, I mean, like I said, there's in terms of how to scale at value, because what organizations want is like these large victories, okay? They not small wins. And for these large victories to happen, it requires the right operating model, which is very difficult because some of these large organizations, it's very difficult for them to change this operating model to accommodate these AI initiatives. So that's something which is happening. They are looking at service providers to be able to help them now with these pilot projects without having to adjust the way they function. Now, but the biggest challenge, right, and the biggest challenge and the biggest enabler of AI is data. Right? I mean, it's end of the day, it's the data that fuels the models. So when it comes to data, there is a requirement to have right data, but also a requirement to have structured data, which is very cumbersome. And that's one issue. There's also data governance piece. Think of like, okay, a large bank, and this bank can be anywhere across the world. Banks have come up with a lot of use cases, a lot of projects that they want to start. But because they deal with a lot of PI data, personal data, that's why there is a lot of compliance and things that they need to go through before they do any projects. So that's not helping them from an agility perspective. But the point is that, okay, this from a data perspective, data governance perspective, there is a lot of focus worldwide. And which is why we are working with a lot of organizations in terms of AI risk management framework, ensuring all the organizations have that, governments have that to be able to move faster. Now we spoke about, I also wanted to touch upon in terms of like what governments are doing globally, right? So from a US government perspective, what US government is doing is, while they are partnering with the providers and having strategic partnership with providers to be able to run large AI initiatives, but right now the focus is also in terms of ethical AI, right? So which is why there are initiatives like on AI Bill of Rights, which is going on, which basically lays down things like data privacy, ensuring there is no discrimination, and basically understanding what is how does the content comes? Is it a AI content or is it a human content? Because the way that the amount of information which is being pumped in, it's very difficult. It's blurring the lines, and it's very difficult to understand whether it's like, okay, it's real content or it's content generated from AI. So that's something which not just the US government, but a lot of governments are focused on, how to remove this biases in AI systems so that, I mean, right decisions can be made. So that's more from a US government. From a European government, of course, they have more stringent regulations when it comes to AI governance. They have data protection regulation, which is, again, very, very focused on data governance. We have the China government, which is a little bit relatively less focused on regulations, but they are focusing more in terms of investments in AI startups and R&D. And coming back home, in India government, of course, we are although focused on ethical governance, but also in terms of how can AI initiatives help in terms of for our healthcare, for agriculture, education, and so on. On that note, I'll hand it over to Mr. Amitabh Nag to speak more about what's going on with the Indian government. Mr. Amitabh Nag. Thank you, everyone.